Without warning, the monstrous entity lunged at Yeon-Myeong, its formless body twisting through the air like a shadow given life. Yet, in a single fluid motion, Yeon-Myeong met its advance with a precise counterattack, his blade carving through the darkness. However, as expected, the strike left no mark, the creature undisturbed by the very concept of physical wounds. A realization settled in Yeon-Myeong's mind. His blade was utterly ineffective. The entity was no ordinary being, but a mass of lingering grudges, a thought form given shape through sheer malevolence. It paid no heed to the wounds inflicted upon it, yet its own attacks carried undeniable force, capable of rending flesh and bone. The sheer imbalance of the exchange left a bitter taste in his mouth. Then, amidst the oppressive air, a presence stirred. Changok, the spectral serpent who had long accompanied Yeon-Myeong, radiated an air of knowing amusement. For too long, he had been treated as a mere source of poison energy, but now, he would remind Yeon-Myeong of his true nature. A being who had existed for over 1,000 years, not merely a familiar, but an entity born from the very same essence as the malevolent force before them. Without hesitation, Changok revealed his true form. His serpentine body, vast and coiling, unfurled into the air, and from him, a dense mist spread across the surroundings. The air grew thick with an ominous presence, an aura of undeniable dominion over spirits of the same ilk. The battlefield shifted, no longer a contest of physical might, but a clash between ancient wills. From the sidelines, Hyunso's breath caught as the thick mist gradually enshrouded the surroundings. The dense veil crept across the battlefield, obscuring his vision and sending a chill down his spine. His heart pounded, unnerved by the sudden shift in the atmosphere. Yeon-Myeong, his gaze sharp and unwavering, remained composed amidst the encroaching haze. He could feel the countless eyes watching from the shadows, silent witnesses to the unfolding battle. With a subtle flicker of his eyes toward Changok's towering form, he conveyed his command. There was no room for unnecessary spectacle. The confrontation had to end quickly. Changok's serpentine body writhed through the mist, his scales glimmering faintly with a ghostly sheen. His presence exuded an overwhelming authority, a testament to centuries of accumulated power. Facing the newly born creature, he regarded it with cold disdain. The monster's malice was potent, far beyond that of an ordinary evil spirit, but to Changok, it was no more than a fledgling daring to challenge an ancient predator. Without hesitation, Changok struck. His enormous jaws parted, revealing rows of fangs like curved blades. In one swift motion, he engulfed the wailing mass of grudges whole. The creature struggled briefly within the serpent's maw, but against Changok's overwhelming might, its resistance was meaningless. The battle ended as swiftly as it began, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. As the mist dissipated, revealing the aftermath of the brief yet chilling battle, Joan rushed forward, his face etched with worry. His eyes scanned Yeon-Myeong's figure, searching for any sign of injury. Concern laced his voice as he hastily inquired about Yeon-Myeong's condition. Yeon-Myeong, his expression calm and composed, brushed off the worry with a brief assurance. No wounds marred his body, though the lingering weight of the battle clung faintly to the air around him. Hyunso, having regained his bearings, approached with a mixture of awe and curiosity. His gaze flicked toward the dissipating mist, its unsettling presence still fresh in his mind. Admiration flickered in his eyes as he spoke, attributing the mysterious phenomenon to Yeon-Myeong's mastery of energy techniques. Yeon-Myeong's response came with a measured tone, neither confirming nor denying the assumption. He had no intention of revealing Changok's existence to others. It was a truth better left shrouded beneath the veil of ambiguity. Joan's voice broke through the silence once more, his expression still shadowed by the lingering dread. The creature they had faced was unlike anything he had ever encountered, an abomination birthed from the demon sect's dark machinations. The thought of such beings roaming the world unsettled him, leaving behind a palpable sense of unease. Yeon-Myeong's resolute voice cut through the heavy atmosphere, his unwavering gaze fixed on the path ahead. The battle may have ended, but the ominous presence lingering in the shadows hinted that the ordeal was far from over. His firm command left no room for negotiation. He ordered Joan to escort the survivors back to safety. Jun's eyes widened, the weight of the request rendering him momentarily speechless. His mind struggled to grasp Yeon-Myeong's true intentions. The notion of his leader venturing into the heart of the demon sect's domain alone struck him with deep unease. Hyunso, equally alarmed, quickly stepped forward, urging caution. The alliance's triumph in eliminating the enemy's key forces was already a significant achievement. Pressing further would be a reckless gamble. Yet Yeon-Myeong's expression remained resolute, betraying no hesitation. His thoughts lingered on the creature they had just faced. The malevolent entity, impervious to conventional attacks, was a harrowing testament to the demon sect's dark experiments. It was clear that someone was deliberately conjuring evil spirits, an affront to the natural order that could not be left unchecked. If such entities were being mass-produced, the enemy's true strength remained hidden beneath the surface. Moreover, the elusive figure known as the small poison demon had yet to reveal themselves. Rumors tying them to the Tang family weighed heavily on Yeon-Myeong's mind. If those suspicions proved true, the consequences could shake the entire martial world. This was not a matter to be entrusted to others. He alone would bear the burden. His decision, though perilous, was not born of recklessness but of calculated resolve. The gap in the demon sect's main forces presented a fleeting opportunity, one that could deliver a decisive blow if seized at the right moment. Jun's eyes darkened with reluctant understanding. Though his heart rebelled against the notion, he knew there was no swaying the alliance leader once his mind was set. Bowing deeply, he voiced his acceptance, but not without a final plea for prudence. Yeon-Myeong turned away without another word, his silhouette fading into the distance. His steps carried him toward the heart of the enemy's domain, alone, yet unwavering. Watching Yeon-Myeong's solitary figure disappear, Jun forced a hearty laugh to mask the unease gnawing at his heart. His voice carried a sense of forced optimism as he turned to Hyunso, making light of the situation. The confidence in his words painted Yeon-Myeong as an indomitable figure, an alliance leader who could face any threat the demon sect had to offer. Yet beneath the surface of his laughter, a shadow of worry lingered in his eyes. The demon sect's depths remained a shrouded enigma, harboring dangers that defied even the most hardened warriors. The presence of extreme demon masters and the unseen hand of the demon sect leader weighed heavily on his mind. Gathering the wounded and survivors, Jun quietly took command, his outward composure steady despite the turmoil within. As the group began their slow retreat, he cast one final glance toward the horizon where Yeon-Myeong had vanished. His heart swayed between doubt and faith, yet he chose to cling to the latter. The alliance leader's unwavering resolve had carried them through countless trials before. Surely this time would be no different. In the stillness of the fading day, Jun silently offered his prayer. Though the path ahead was veiled in uncertainty, he would await Yeon-Myeong's return with steadfast belief, entrusting their leader to triumph and return safely, without fail. Meanwhile, within the heart of Xinjiang, at the heavenly demon sect's headquarters, Moon-chan entered the dimly lit chamber, his footsteps echoing through the silence. The flickering glow of lanterns cast wavering patterns across the walls, illuminating the figure that awaited him. Baek Soyeon reclined gracefully, her sharp gaze fixed on him, a woman whose beauty belied the merciless authority she wielded as Lord Demon. Her voice, both cold and alluring, broke the silence with a note of mockery. She acknowledged his recent accomplishments on the battlefield, her words tinged with condescension. Despite the praise, there was an underlying test in her tone, as if measuring how far Moon-chan had truly risen within the sect's dark hierarchy. Moon-chan's expression remained composed, though the weight of addressing her as Lord Demon pressed upon him. The title carried both reverence and fear, binding him further to the path he had chosen. Baek Soyeon's lips curled into a faint smile as she continued, her mention of the poison master Yiyang family cutting deeper than any blade. The name of his estranged father, once a distant shadow, now resurfaced, entwined with his newfound position. The subtle taunt lingered in the air, forcing Moon-chan to confront the blood ties he had long sought to sever. A few days prior, beneath the looming shadows of the heavenly demon sect's inner sanctum, a pivotal moment had unfolded, one that would sever the remnants of Tang Munchan's former life. The faint scent of poison herbs clung to the damp air, filling the room where fate was quietly rewritten. On that fateful day, the day after Tang Moon-chan ascended to the realm of the poisoner, Baek Soyeon stood at the head of the chamber, her piercing gaze fixed on him. With the grace of a puppeteer pulling invisible strings, she introduced the man who had silently influenced the sect from the shadows, the head of the Poison Master Yiyang family. The man's presence was both imposing and composed, his features weathered by years steeped in venomous arts. His eyes, dark and calculating, seemed to peer into Munchin's very soul. Baek Soyeon's voice carried the weight of a decree as she declared the man's role as Munchin's future guarantor, a figure who would anchor his status within the sect. Munchan stepped forward, bowing with the stiff formality of one acknowledging an inevitable fate. Words of gratitude slipped from his lips, though the lingering trace of his old surname bound him to a past he had sworn to forsake. Yet the man's cold rebuke shattered that fragile tie. The Tang name was no longer his to bear. His destiny had been rewritten without his consent. From that moment forward, he would live as Yang Munchan, bound by blood to a family he had never known. The final severance came with a single hesitant word: father. A slow, mirthless laugh echoed through the chamber, reverberating off the cold walls. The man's delight was palpable, though it carried no warmth, only the satisfaction of acquiring a new heir, a tool to further his legacy. Munchin's head remained bowed low, concealing the subtle tremor in his eyes as Baek Soyeon's unsettling suggestion hung in the air. Her words carried both temptation and danger, each syllable wrapping around Munchin's mind like a venomous coil. The reverse blood demon technique, a forbidden art whispered of in hushed tones, forever tied to the nightmarish memories of the Tang family's downfall, was not a gift, but a curse disguised as power. The mere thought of harnessing such destructive potential made his pulse quicken, the echoes of that dark history clawing at his heart. Yet Baek Soyeon's calculating voice pierced through his hesitation. The pieces of her twisted experiment were already falling into place. Two contradictory techniques, one that devoured life and another that defied death. A fusion of destruction and immortality. It was an unholy ambition, born from the sect's boundless pursuit of power.